Right. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you, Miha, for being willing to share your wisdom and your expertise with us. And I'm really excited about this. And I certainly know personally, I think, no offense to you guys, but often when I'm inviting people in, it's because I know I need something. And so it's great that you're all joining. And I am meeting with you just before we go into your workshop. I'd like to introduce you from my perspective of knowing you for quite a lot of years now. It goes back to 2000. But I would like to just do a quick intro on some events that we have. So I'll just do that now. So the first that's coming up now, some of you may have attended Jackie's numerology workshop that we did, and this is going back to early January. And if you didn't get an opportunity to see that, there is a video on TorontoBodyTalk.com that you can. It's a numerology workshop. If you click on that, it'll actually take you to the video of the workshop. So Jackie is offering Learn Your Life Path, and it's a 2-hour workshop this coming Thursday. And she's kindly offered to greatly reduce her fee for participants of our events, our Sunday events. So if you're interested in that, you can contact Jackie. And what I'll do is I will send out her contact information, but her website is www.insightwithjackie.com, and I'll send out her email as well. Then the next one is me sort of having fun. I wanted to continue with doing the Sunday workshops, and so the next one I'm going to do is actually going to be led by me, and it is Your Inner Magician, and it's exploring reality. Just a nice light little topic. So I tend to be a bit of a philosopher, and I love to study really the science and really the intermingling of science and philosophy in terms of our perceptions of reality, because my personal experience in what reality is has driven me in that way. Because I don't, it's like, what is our consensual reality? And why I called it the inner magician is because we can really play. We have a lot of opportunity to play when we start to gain an understanding of this thing called the agreement we've had on reality, but what other potentials reality offers us. So that's what that's going to be. And honestly, I don't really know more than that yet. So if you're interested in that, you can email me. I'll send out info about it. And then this is something that Augie and so Augie Papik, some of you also may have attended Augie and I, our Immune Boost workshop, our group session. If you didn't, again, it's available on Toronto Body Talk website. It is just an incredible and gifted and committed healer. And so after that group session, we decided that we wanted to actually do something a little more intense. So we are offering 2 series. We're going to do one, and we're calling them intense series because we're going to offer them on a weekly basis of group sessions. And the first one is on, and this is really Augie's language, and I just love it, immune rescue and recovery. And so that's a group of 5 healing sessions over 5 consecutive weeks from February 11th through March 11th. And then the next one is Defying Aging. And they really work in order. So the first one is about, Augie has been studying, of course, body talk and also body intuitive, a lot of ancient Chinese medicine principles, as well as bringing in epigenetics and genetics and the understanding of, energy medicine. And from my perspective, I'm big on consciousness and reality and how our beliefs can greatly impact our immune systems and our physical body. So we're going to be merging our passion in offering these. And then the next one, so once we've sort of boosted up our immune systems and reduced our stress. We're going to be moving into defying aging. And I said to Augie, I said, sounds good to me. So again, that was her kind of concept, but like that's my vanity speaking, if you didn't figure that one out. But it's like, well, defying aging, of course it's about looking good, but when we look good, it's because our bodies are feeling good. And what are the markers? What are the things that create that aging and inflammation in us? And again, Augie, coming from her really science perspective and her current studies on that, I'm just really excited about it. So we'll send out more information, or if you're interested about any of these things, contact me, but I will share information about that. These ones will be $100 for each group. So it's like 5 sessions for $100. And then the second, same thing, 5 sessions for $100. But if you purchase 2, we didn't actually talk about that, but I always like to, if someone's willing to commit, I like to give an incentive. So we'll probably give an incentive, but we'll get to that. So that's what's up and coming. And now we're going to introduce, or Miha is short for Mihaela Poca. So I worked with Miha. It was the first formal clinic that I worked in Toronto. In 2009, I began working with Miha, and immediately we formed a bond. So Miha is a registered psychotherapist. She is also an RMT, a cranial sacral therapist. She does energy medicine and theta healing, and also has this very powerful Buddhist meditation practice. And so I just really felt that she would have some wisdom to share with us. And with all of those different experiences and skills that she offers, she decided to focus on emotion. So thank you so much, Neha. I'm going to go to, let's see if I can get to the next slide. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to ask everyone to welcome Mihaela Poca, and thank you so much, Miha, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me to talk today. I decided to talk about emotions, how to ground them, how to create inner stability. So in these workshops, I will list the emotions. It's very good to know them. I mean, we all know them, but to humanize them. And then the words that we use to describe them, I will talk a little bit how to sit, how to increase the capacity to sit with them. I will give some tools to ground the emotions and the meditation routine that is very healing. And at the end, I will do a healing for the group. So the reason why I wanted to talk about emotions is because we all feel them every day. The ability to feel the emotions and let them go allows us to freely experience life. When we decide that we don't want to feel emotions, we start bottling them, we start avoiding life, and we begin to be stuck. So I want to talk about them as we are able to feel them more, we are able to move more freely in life. So the 5 main emotions that are there are enjoyment, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust. And so naming the emotions are helpful. Naming them for ourselves, it helps our mind to recognize them. It helps us to own them. By naming them, it's easier to move them from our body and mind. And as we know, everything passes. Nothing is stuck. Like we always go through from joy to sadness to fear to anger, sometimes to disgust. Nothing stays forever. So being able to recognize them and being able to let them go is letting the flow of life to take place. And once things are conscious in our mind, if we want to address some emotions, if they become big, we can have curiosity about it. And we can rewrite our stories. So this is how we heal. We want to be the driver of the emotions. We don't want to be the passenger. The driver is the one that is able to establish how we react to emotions. The passenger is taken over by the emotions. So we always have these emotions in relationship with something or someone. So having this curiosity will allow us to understand our dynamic with somebody or something. And that curiosity will take us back to ourselves, to our organizing principles, to our life statements. And knowing this and bringing them to the conscious mind will allow us to rewrite what we we wrote in our subconscious mind. And so I listed the 5 emotions. In the next slide, I will talk about the first emotion, and I will just so we know that there are these main emotions, but then we have different use of language for them. And so bringing it back to the main 5 emotions, it will be easier to talk about them sometimes. When we talk about enjoyment, we talk about happiness, love, relief, contentment, amusement, joy, pride, excitement, peace, satisfaction, compassion, sometimes gratitude. So these words we use when something feels good. These emotions motivate us, and they are healing. Like when we talk about enjoyment, we get motivated. We feel good. We have to recognize when we feel these emotions, and to mark it in our mind, and also create moments to feel enjoyment. Our mind is trained to recognize mostly the tough emotions because it's a system of protection. We in nature, we want to protect ourselves from danger, so we mark when something attacked us, when we feel fear or when we feel sad. But mostly the happy moments sometimes get marked, but they pass by with less intensity than the tough emotions. So I invite you to mark and to remember and to create moments where you feel enjoyment. My husband and I, we were having an exercise every morning to say 5 things that we are grateful for and to connect with them. So we are marking every day what we are grateful for, and we connect to the joy of that. Peace, gratitude, compassion, joy are high vibration energy, and they are healing. So here is the part where we are healing, where we have energy to start bringing in other emotions and other situations that were hard. When we feel safe, when we feel happy, and when we feel stable, then we can start healing. On the next slide, I will talk about hard emotions, such as sadness. For sadness, we use the words lonely, heartbroken, gloomy, disappointed, helpless, grieved, unhappy, lost, troubled, resigned, miserable. These emotions are all recognized as sadness. And why I'm simplifying this is that sadness is so human. So you can, you can, when you feel lonely, you can recognize, oh, I have a little bit of sadness. And all emotions are acceptable and valid. It's they come out through our subjective experience, through our own conditioning, but they are valid. Like sometimes with hard emotions, we tend to brush them under the rug. And because most of the times with hard emotions like sadness, fear, or anger, and even disgust, people were not listening to us or not able to be in connection with us. So now as adults, we have to learn to listen to ourselves and to not brush them under the rug, to not feel that they are not valid. A lot of healing happens in connection, when we feel understood and when we feel supported. But because we are not always in connection, like community is one of the most healing thing that we can do for ourselves. But because we are not always in connection, we also have to consciously learn how to listen to ourselves. And sometimes it happens from outside. Our community, our support system listen to us, and then we learn to do it for ourselves. But we can also learn by ourselves and to honor our own emotions. And all emotions are acceptable and valid. Sometimes they are expressed later than the events that cause them. So sometimes you feel that, oh, everything is good. Why am I feeling this? But you're feeling that because you have the resource at that moment to feel it. So honor it, connect to it, and feel it. And I invite you to be gentle and curious with yourself when it happens. We also have to allow ourselves to air the emotions. And as I said, a lot of healing happens in connection, when we are understood, when we are validated. Oftentimes the emotions have been invalidated, but all emotions are valid. And it's not a problem to feel them. The problem is with the reaction to them. Sometimes, not all the times, but if we have big reaction, and if we cannot regulate them, then maybe that's the place to look at it, and not at feeling the emotions. If we go to the next, I'm talking about the hard emotions, and you notice that Linda put wonderful pictures on them. The sadness had tears and then, or droplets of rain, and now the fear has a dark forest. So for the fear, we use the words worried, doubtful, nervous, anxious, terrified, panicked, horrified, desperate, confused, and stressed. And with fear, what I find that oftentimes fear can be personal, or also, especially now in the pandemic, for example, there is like a global fear and you feel it. And it doesn't matter if it's our personal fear or the global fear and the global anxiety that happens in the world. Again, the thing to be with this is to be gentle and to listen to it. With anxiety, for example, the more we try to run away, well, anxiety is kind of a running away from fear. The more we try to run away, the more it amplifies. So the way to be with it is not to move away from it, it's to move towards it, and to, again, to listen to the words of it and to understand it. And those judgments that we have, it's another layer on top of the emotions that we have. So I invite you, when you feel judgmental, to maybe to recognize that, but if you can, to let it go and to allow, pure fear is natural sometimes. And sometimes it's a trigger of the nervous system. We felt fear at some point and something triggered it, so we feel it now. But it's not something to run away from. It is to understand, what is my trigger? What just happened? These are some questions, and to be gentle with oneself. It's very important. Again, emotions were not always met with kindness and gentleness or care or curiosity. Sometimes they were shut down, or sometimes they were not even allowed. But and that's what we learned. And so now it's the time to challenge that and to give ourselves a different treatment. A treatment of care, a treatment of listening to ourselves. As caretakers, we listen to other people, and one of the most important things is to listen to ourselves. And if we go to the next one, how we talk about anger. You see, this is red. The words that we use for anger are annoyed, frustrated, peeved, contrary, bitter, infuriated, irritated, mad, cheated, vengeful, insulted. And anger is a very important emotion. It is a secondary emotion. It comes mostly after sadness or fear. And sometimes with sadness and fear, especially intense sadness and fears, we feel helplessness. So when we feel that helplessness, the coming out of it is this anger. And anger is a catalyst. It moves you. And it is not a problem to feel it. Like I have with my clients, sometimes they come and feel ashamed that I'm feeling anger. And I sometimes tell them, you can love somebody and feel anger with them, and those are not mutually exclusive. It's something that didn't stand well with you in the behavior of that person, not the whole person that stirs this anger. Or so anger is important to sit with it, to honor it, because oftentimes we erase ourselves, and that's bottling it. You end up bottling it. You end up feeling more angry afterwards, exploding or imploding if we don't honor it. And it's just a message. The other part is how we react to it. So we have to allow ourselves, and we have to learn to give ourselves some space from the emotion to the reaction. And if we have that capacity, and we're learning to have that capacity by grounding, by putting in routines. When we have that capacity to give ourselves space, then we can have healthy ways of addressing anger. Sometimes sadness is in relationship with somebody, you can address it. Sometimes fear comes up in relationship to something or somebody. It's allowing ourselves to be with it, owning it, and then learning how to give ourselves space between feeling it and the reaction to it. Again, oftentimes people feel guilty with anger, and that's another layer on top of the anger. And I do invite to have compassion and care for oneself, and to understand anger not as good or bad, just as something that is there. It's a signal from your body. Maybe it's a signal that a boundary was crossed. Maybe it's a signal that something was not honored for you, maybe you were disrespected in a certain way, or so it's a signal, and acknowledging that, and acknowledging it from the feeling, and then looking at what is happening in the relationship that I'm feeling anger with, what is happening. It's a way of healing and of understanding oneself. If we go to the next one is disgust, and you see this beautiful brick wall that we we put. So in this, it's the words that we use sometimes are dislike, revulsion, loathing, disapproving, offended, uncomfortable, nauseated, disturbed, withdraw, and aversion. So all of these emotions that I mentioned are intense emotions, and it's worthwhile understanding them. For joy and laughter, nobody is stopping us to laugh. It kind of has a natural course. You laugh and it's ended. But for example, sadness or anger or disgust, people sometimes demand for us to stop it. And in my experience and how I kind of learn to heal and stay with emotions is that with these hard emotions, I again learn to breathe through them, to recognize them, and to recognize that in some sense, all of them are emotions. Like it's under the umbrella of emotions. It's not that this is good and this is bad and reject that one and shut down to that one and want the other one more or be more joyful when you're sad. Or it's about recognizing, oh, I am sad. Oh, I feel a little bit of disgust here. And to, even if the judgment comes, the rational mind tries to judge and put things in the boxes and make sense in a certain way. But there is something beyond the rational mind. And I want to access that, like just kind of a sense of being and allowing and breathing through it. And if I'm gentle like that, I can allow a little bit of curiosity. It's not that it's good or bad. It's not that is I want to be somewhere else. It's that I am here and I'm sitting with, let's say, disgust. And I want to feel it truly, deeply, and to be curious about it. And when you do that, you kind of connect with it at a deeper level. And you end up honoring it and owning it, and also understanding what is happening. And with that, healing happens once you understand. Sometimes some other feelings around it, the story around it comes to the surface. And when you know the story, you know what you told yourself about it. We tell ourselves stories, and we form our story and experience based on what happened to us in life. And it's subjective. It's not always objective. It's in relation to our sense of self. It's in relation to what happened for us and how we view life. But allowing ourselves to understand that, we start understanding ourselves. We start understanding our story. And in that, if we have something that we need to change, or you see yourself having a pattern in a certain way and you don't like that pattern, you end up getting in touch with what enforced that pattern. And you start healing those parts and start moving from there. So it gives us our ability to change when we allow things to flow a little bit more freely. It also allows us to experience life. Sometimes deciding not to feel emotions keeps us locked, keeps us shy from trying different things, or experiencing the thing that might stir that emotion. So we end up sitting back. So having the courage to just sit with it, to not judge it, to allow bits and pieces. If that thing is too big, to allow bits and pieces to come up. And in the same time to care for ourselves, because it's, again, not good or bad to experience something. It's just is. And if we go to the next slide. So here I'm talking about thinking versus feeling. And so the conscious level of the mind is the realm of thinking. It's the rational part of the mind. This is where judgment and labels and the stories that we tell ourselves are and others are formed. And but the conscious mind, well, the rational mind kind of forms those judgments, but we need the conscious mind to be able to bring to attention, bring from the subconscious to the conscious, and kind of rewrite the stories if we want to rewrite, or let go of parts. So the conscious mind is helpful, but a part of it where we rationalize, do the rational part of everything and want to judge or label, sometimes is not as helpful. It's helpful in the sense of classifying things, but in some senses, somebody said they don't see the slides. I'm not sure in the comments. Maybe I'm the subconscious level of the mind is the realm of feeling. This is where we store our triggers, our patterns of behavior, and this information is how we automatically respond. So if we want to change triggers, or if we want to change patterns, or if we want to change big life statements, we go to the subconscious. The subconscious is automatic. It's almost like the digestive system. The digestive system is subconscious. The walking is subconscious. So the subconscious level is where we form our habits, where we store the things that kind of happen automatically. And so if you really want to heal yourself, you have to allow yourself to feel. And in this way, you can access the internalized stories. If you allow yourself to feel, you are dealing with a much deeper part of the mind, and you have the opportunity to unburden yourself of very dense things that we put in there sometimes to protect ourselves. So we have to be able to access, and we access the subconscious and the big statements by feeling. And if we go to the next slide. Can you hear me, Linda? If we go to the next slide.
Sorry, this is the next slide, Miha.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. So your emotions are messages. Emotions exist for a reason. So I just want to normalize emotions. I just want to let emotions kind of be there and not be judged. They are not random. So if you listen, they are telling you what's happening for you. They are always showing you the path back to yourself. And they start like nudges or flashes. If you don't listen to them or don't understand them, they've moved to more elaborate means of getting your attention. Processing pleasant emotions is easy and natural. When it comes to emotions when it comes to hard emotions, we tend to not want to have them. Healing is learning to sit through emotions and not judge them, just to enlarge the container of having them, and then they don't take over you. If you have a large enough container, They are not all of you. To allow them to, and it's very important to allow them to arise and pass, and to own them, to name them, to own them, especially if it's something more intense or something that is repeating itself. The way to heal them, the way to heal yourself and to understand yourself is to allow them to arise, to name them, to own them. If you have a good good friend or a good community, sometimes you have the possibility to share them, and if they are validated and listened, if you are heard and seen in your emotions, sometimes amazing healing can happen. But also by yourself, for yourself, you can do that as well, to hear your emotions, to listen to them, to see them, to hear yourself and see yourself. That's sometimes it comes from outside, but sometimes it can come from inside, to hear and see yourself, and then the outside world may hear you more and see you more. If we go to the next slide. So how to be with emotions? Emotions can be complicated. Some might feel intense while others mild in comparison. You might feel conflicting emotions at any given time, and that's okay too. And our emotions serve a purpose. Instead of trying to change the emotions you experience, consider how you react to them. It's usually the reaction that creates challenges, not the emotions themselves. Are emotions that you feel dominating you or stopping you from doing the things that you want? This is some questions to reflect. Are they causing you to treat people roughly or to treat yourself roughly? Are they causing you to control people or control the situations? These are some questions to reflect. Sometimes just reflective awareness is very important. It's just a few suggestions, but sometimes the questions can go along other ways. It's almost, what is this? What is happening for me in this? Like what is in my body? What is in my mind with this? How am I relating with the other person? What has been stirred inside? So this is a little bit of being curious, but curious in kindness to yourself. And when the emotions take over, then you know that you need to ground. And generally, in my experience as a therapist, and I've been working with people, I've also worked on my life for many years, is having some routine in the morning of self-care. I sit every morning in meditation, and I find that changes my day. That gives me more capacity to meet life. Right now, it's a lot of change in the world, and a lot of things are happening. So, and also to be a therapist and to have our own life where things are happening as well, and to care about family and friends, and we need to have our own ground. And I like to move in life with ground under my feet, and to be a resource for people rather than to feel collapsed into myself and not have ability to be with people. So for myself, I'm telling you from my own experience and for my experience with clients, when we are able to put in some routine, some healthy things for ourselves, we have more resource. And this gives us the ground under our feet to hold our own and maybe have capacity to hold other people. And that's a very good place to be in, to be able to hold yourself and hold other people, rather than collapse on oneself, barely holding what's happening for ourselves. So if we move to the next slide, I will do a healing meditation. And this healing meditation is quite ancient. And it's a very good way of grounding. So if you are sitting in your own home, if you're sitting on a chair or on the ground cross-legged, you can just allow your shoulders to get back slightly in a very natural way and your top of the head to point out up. If you're lying down, just allow the bed or the floor to support you. And in this meditation, imagine a lump of soft butter, pure in color and fragrance, the size and the shape of a duck egg, on the top of your head. As you sit, you imagine it that it begins to slowly melt, imparting an exquisite sensation, moisturizing and saturating your head within and without. Just slowly imagine it going through your head, through the bones of the head, to the skull, through the brain, through the frontal part, to the back part, all the way to the neck. Into the neck, moisturizing the neck, this beautiful butter, pure in color and fragrance, going through the neck, inside and out, through the thyroid, through all the structures of the neck, through the cervical spine, down into your shoulders. And take a few breaths, holding this beautiful, soft butter and being present to it, not judging it, and seeing it melt through your head, through your neck, into your shoulders, and then into your arms, into your elbows, into your forearms, into your palms. And take a few breaths here, holding your heart and your energy here, feeling this beautiful, soft butter, pure in color and fragrance, going through your body, through your shoulders, into your heart, into your sternum. Hold this awareness of the heart, into your lungs, into your thoracic spine, going down into your abdomen, into the liver, gallbladder, into the pancreas, into the stomach, into the intestines. Take a few breaths here and allowing this lump of soft butter going from your head to your abdomen, into your pelvis. Take a few breaths here, allowing it to moisturize your pelvis, into the legs. Allow a gentle energy to go through your legs, into the knees, into the lower legs, into the ankles. Take a few breaths here and into the sole of the feet. And imagine this beautiful, soft butter, pure in color and fragrance, going from this egg size on top of your head all the way to the brain, through your neck, to your chest, to your back, to your abdomen, to your lower back, to your hips, to your legs, all the way to the sole of your feet. And take a few breaths here, holding this beautiful energy flowing from the head all the way to the sole of your feet, and let it flow. Let you 1 minute to stay with it and stay with yourself. This meditation is to move the congestions in your body all the way down to the sole of the feet. And moving this energy down will bring warmth to your legs and to your feet. And that warmth is very beneficial. It's a little bit of a sign of grounding. When the warmth goes down, down, all the way to the feet. And slowly come back to the room. I don't know how the meditation was. If you want to write something in the comments, please write in the comments. And the last part is about creating routines and closing the loops into the mind. So again, it's very important to have grounding things. And to me, at the beginning of the day, because it informs my whole day, having a meditation. It doesn't have to be this, but I just wanted to show you how it feels to have a meditation and to have to move the energy from the head and through everything gently all the way to the sole of the feet. And here is another method. If an emotion takes over in that moment of worry, let's say, if the worry arrives, imagine and identify the steps that you thought of when that emotion arises. And when you recognize, usually worry goes into the future and we imagine the worst case possible. So when you recognize that, maybe you can talk yourself down from there to recognize, yes, this is the worst case possible. I've already run it through my body and mind. I know that somehow I have a way of surviving that. And then kind of bringing your mind back to the present and understanding I'm not there yet. This hasn't happened. I'm just running my worst case scenario just to survive, just to try to survive that, but that hasn't happened. So if some emotion takes over, it's again running it through if you want and understanding what you've run through, but then also the other one is bringing your awareness back to the present. Another thing with these emotions that come out of the blue is learning to conquer the triggers. And I have an example here, a trigger. Let's say you're afraid of heights. It's in your mind, there is some acting visualization that you could do to desensitize yourself to that. But so it's about exposing yourself bit by bit to that trigger. But in fact, to me, the triggers, again, they have to be understood. It's exposing it, you will understand what is happening bit by bit, and you'll take small portions of that intensity of the fear that is happening. And another thing that I found very helpful for myself is if I find my mind busy at night, I've learned to close the loops in my mind. And closing the loops means you can either do it on paper to write down the things that are there, but if you are in bed, sitting there awake, thinking about a million things, is consciously saying, oh, this thing is in my mind. I consciously close it for tonight. That thing is in my mind. I consciously close it in my mind. That thing is like, it's kind of telling consciously. When you make a conscious plan, you more likely will follow with it. So it's identifying what's there and closing it. It's like saying to it, I'm closing you for tonight. Blinds down, we are in bed, time to pull the curtains. Some of the things you need to think about tomorrow, so you can say, I'll close you for tonight. I'll think about you tomorrow. So it's not about putting things off, it's about letting them a little bit to not be so active in the mind, and consciously telling your mind, I don't want this active tonight. This other thing, no, 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 no. Time to unload. So, and this is all I have. And I will do I will do a little bit of a healing for the group. A few things that might come to mind. And so I invite everyone to connect to ourselves and also connect to the group. We're here to heal ourselves and to help each other heal. And if there is, to help everything heal. But it's a group here that we are here present. So let's connect to ourselves. And the thing that comes to mind in this is the energy, the Wei Qi energy, to be strengthened. And it comes about the information of the world penetrating and crossing in. And we want to increase this Wei Qi so that the information doesn't come to our core. We are aware of it and we can be with it, but it doesn't shake us. So I want you to take a few deep breaths and feeling this energy like a cocoon of light around us to protect us and to be able to take in the world a little bit easier. I can feel that a lot of maybe fear or anxiety wants to penetrate, but this cocoon of light will make us aware, but will also keep us grounded, and it will help us have integrity that won't go to the core of ourselves. The next thing that comes to my mind is like a little rose. I see a little rose of all the energies that circulate through us that are not from us. It's almost, I want to invite this rose to give the petals back. And this is about all the energies that we hold from other people or other events that we circulate in our body mind as worry or as sadness, and why I invite it to get back or to get grounded is because that worry about somebody else or something else cannot be repaired until it returns to the source. Once it returns to the source, things can be settled. The next thing that comes is I almost feel like tapping my sternum and tapping the sternum. And it's about awakening the immune, the protective cells of our body. And as I tap the sternum, I feel that some link between the liver and the gallbladder into the bile, clearing the bile of cholesterol, like those crystals. It almost feels like crystals of memories, processing that memory of anxiety or fear that get crystallized into the bile. And please take a few deep breaths. And I still feel like tapping on the immune system. It almost feels like a stress release. And the next link is almost like a healing in the pancreas of how we produce the insulin. Like just a few deep breaths, and to heal the stress response somehow to everything that's happening. And take a few deep breaths. And the next thing is the kidneys. And I think it's almost about blood circulation in the kidneys and the bladder. And then it feels like almost going into the legs. It goes into the legs. And just increasing the tolerance and moving forward from the fear response. And if we feel our feet on the floor, or if we feel the ground under ourselves, I want you to take a few deep breaths. And I want to bring this to a closure. Thank you so much. I want to thank Linda for putting it together and helping me do the slides and do them with such beautiful graphics. And I'm so grateful for our relationship, Linda, and for your kindness throughout all this time. And I'm grateful for this workshop, to be able to be here and share it. Thank you.
Oh, Miha, I can't thank you enough. And I'm tearing up because I just felt so many shifts through that. And I am so grateful to you as well. And I'm just so grateful that you shared your beautiful energy with this group. I don't know if everybody felt what I felt, but this is part of the reason why I wanted to share Miha's gift with everyone. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh.
Would you like, does anyone have any questions or anything to share specifically to Miha? Miha, do you want to do a couple questions or if anyone has anything?
Sure. If you have question or comments, they're welcome.
Seeming in a rather peaceful, grounded space after that. That's the way I'm feeling too. So
Yes.
I'll just check the chat. Everyone's lots of thank yous, and gallbladder is really happy. That's Augie. Oh, Augie's gallbladder is very happy. Thank you, Miha. So is mine. So, Felicia has a question, and Anna says unstoppable crying through the workshop.
Oh.
Well, this is through the meditation. So, these are things that are very exciting to me in the sense that it means that things are really releasing, but I'll let you speak to that, Miha, and then Felicia will have a question after that.
The meditation or the tears. The tears sometimes are release and connecting to ourselves and definitely grounding our nervous system. And also we increase the resource by having a calm ground and stability. We increase the resource. So tears are just release. I don't know if that was the question. I saw somebody saying that the butter on top of the head was not as appealing. I'm vegetarian, vegan too, but it's not butter. It's more an eggshell. The butter is used just to visualize the sensation and visualize the texture of flow of this golden light. But it can be vegan butter, if that's. I myself, I want to respect how you feel, and it's not. It's just the visual of it.
Thank you, Miha. So, Felicia, do you want to take yourself off mute and ask Miha her question?
Sure.
Question?
Hi, Linda. How are you? Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you. We kind of lost the picture here. Okay. I just wanted to ask, is this going to be recorded, this session?
Oh, I think Linda recorded it.
So
it is being
Sorry?
Yes. It is being recorded, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'd like to watch it over again. It was very helpful.
I just want to add, ladies, thank you so much. I'm so relaxed right now. I feel stupid. I can't thank. I felt something just released through my body into the core of the earth. I felt like melted butter. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Do that.
Hi, Anna.
I do have something that popped up as you were going through your workshop about when you're talking about getting in touch with the emotions, Miha. One of the things that it sort of came to me was like, okay, So we know how they feel, right? But also, so I'm just going to share this. Okay. So the whole disgust thing, the reason I put a brick wall up to the disgust when I was helping you with your slides is because I just have such a strong thing with disgust. And it's just been so insightful. Sorry, the light is shining in. I'm trying to get out of, but it's just so interesting, my reaction even to just the word and the concept of disgust. So I get a sense that there's something that I need to explore a little bit in that, right?
Yes, yes. Well, it can be dislike, but sometimes it's a signal in the body. And sometimes it is important to honor that, because your gut feeling is telling you something. You might have this hint of dislike. I won't use disgust because it's a strong. I do also feel a little bit. It's strong. It's strong to use it with people, or you. I don't know. I'm a compassionate person, so I wouldn't use it with people, but I would sometimes use it towards some situation that is maybe corrupt or or something like that. So you can, and so if that comes through, you know in your gut that something is not standing well. It's just information. How we use the emotions, if we can regulate them and feel them in our body, is information. You know that I would never do anything like that, or maybe not want to have anything to do with that, that it gives me this sensation of disgust. So you have information about it. It's maybe the reaction to it is that we have to be nice, but this is not about being nice or being crossing somebody or disrespecting somebody. It's more about some information that comes through, and if it's so strong, then you know for yourself that something doesn't stand well there. Does that
Yes, it does, because I think that there's still a lot of judgment for me about that in some way. And I know that I've started to unearth it just by virtue of working with you on this. So it helps to be able to recognize it as information and almost like a little bit of an educator, right? It's
yes
its hand up to say, hey, pay attention to me here a little bit, right?
Yes, sometimes I ask, even if it comes in my body, or if it comes like an emotion, and I know, okay, it's a little bit of disgust. What does it want to tell me? And then in this way, you are connected to the story, not with the word. You're connected to what is there. It's a curiosity. It's not right or wrong, but it's what is there in that emotion that came through. And it has a story, and it's okay to honor that story and to know it. If the more you honor the story, the more you know about yourself. But also some of these things come as warning, or as, it just gives you information as to what to do in certain situations, and it's worthwhile honoring them. They are
Thank
not
you. That helps.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
During the healing process, you were mentioning about, it caught my attention, and it was about something about being worried for other people.
Yes.
And then I think I heard saying, let it go to the source, something like that.
Yes.
Can you go a little bit further with that? What do you mean with that in that particular time, in that session there?
I meant that holding things, running the worry through your body about other people or their problems is not helpful. And letting it go to the source, It's almost clearing your mind. The worry doesn't help you when it runs kind of through your body. Letting it go to the source, it means just kind of letting it go. And sometimes it dissipates, and it gives you a different perspective, a different presence to what's happening for the person. And it also gives you some information. You wish for them to be well, you wish for them to be okay, but running those things through, it doesn't make them well. So being a little bit more connected to them and allowing this worry to dissipate helps. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think that's what I need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holding things and running them through our body, it's almost like constantly running something that's unresolved. But
so the idea is just to, like, I'm trying to find the tool to feel worry and have kind of like a positive mental thing for them and just let it go.
yes, well, instead of worry, there can be curiosity. If it's somebody close to you, you can ask them how they are, or you can talk to them, or rather than holding some energy about them, it's more about opening it up to curiosity. What is there? How are you? What's happening? How can I be there for you? If you want to be with with a person, or to be there. But running it through the system and maybe expressing it in the relationship, I'm worried about you, then it's a little bit of a closed, it's almost like you already decided that something is gonna happen. I mean, maybe not that something is gonna happen, but it's kind of an energy that there is nervous energy in between. So allowing it to let it go to the source, allowing grounding and kind of being a bit more curious, going beyond the worry, and being more present for them.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Thank
understand.
you. Yeah.
Thank you to you too.
Thank you. Linda?
Sophia and Sebastian have a question for you, Miha.
Sure.
It's Natasha who's on Sophia's questions. I was like, now I know.
I'm sorry. Hi, hello everybody,
Hi.
and hello Miha. I tried to change. That's my kids, right? and I tried to change, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how. Anyways, I'm Natasha.
Hi,
and
Natasha.
as I was listening just to a previous question / comment from Jackie, I believe, I was what was coming up for me and resonating with me, and where I might would like maybe to get some advice or direction. In my situation, for example, I realized that I'm constantly running that worry feeling, and that's probably from like just kind of having experienced some traumatic situations with my son. Then when he had an allergic reaction, and it's almost like it's so strong, that worry, that underlying worry, that how, and it's obviously it's my son, so there is so much care, healthy and unhealthy, that I'm learning, right? Like differences between care and love. And when you said about maybe not holding that worry, but rather kind of like communicating it or opening in it, it's like how would I approach that with my son, and maybe detach from that worry little by little, and allowing, like, I understand it, but it's, I guess, kind of like embedded in body memory, like in mind memory, subconscious memory from the past, that every like single little thing can be a trigger to me. Like if he you know, has a bit of like a rash, I would think that, oh, and then I have to like calm myself so much. It's so much work. But I realized that it's like a constant almost trigger, and it's like I kind of am good on the surface, right? But then when it's a little bit of a situation that is created, I almost like run so much ahead of myself, like kind of what you say, like the worry goes like extremely far. So like, you know, is there anything like, how can I bring myself together and actually really allow, like that's what I remind myself, right? Like it doesn't help him, but it does get triggered in me, and just to allow him to like to trust that he's safe, not to really jump on every single whatever happened, you know, on his skin even, or you know, like it's just such a disturbing feeling. It comes from love and care, but it's very disturbing, I guess, due to experiences of trauma in the past.
Yes, yes. Well, it sounds like there is a little bit of a fear that you cannot handle what will happen. I can see there is emotion talking about it, and it's kind of learning how to regulate that fear within yourself, that he already went through something, and you were there for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so learning to regulate that fear, and then also returning to the present moment, and to say to yourself, he is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He is healthy now. He's healthy now. He's okay now. And I can see emotion, a lot of emotion there. And maybe sitting a little bit, I guess what happened was very intense.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to, you put it somewhere and it gets triggered, but maybe we can learn to sit with what happened, and you handled it, and you can handle it. But at this moment, you projecting into the future that if this ever happens, how can I handle it? This is my love, my son.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that, but it's a little bit, first telling yourself that he is healthy and he's well in this moment, and a second to learn to trust that I handled that, and I can handle the things that are coming, but he is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we project into the future and feel, but if that will happen, how can I handle that?
Again, yes, it's
And
an immense feeling. It's an overwhelming feeling. So I realized that it's so much within me. And
yes, building trust with you already handled it, and just to learn to suit when those worry come, to suit yourself in some way. And one way is reminding yourself he is healthy, it's okay in this moment. And the other part is that you can handle, you could handle. I see that people are leaving.
Thank you
They
so
are.
much, Miha.
Thank you.
They are, and that's why I just wanted to share Miha's website. So if anyone is Mihaela, her website is Loving Care Clinic CA, and she gives services. But you know, to me, the therapy for sure is just an amazing gift because of her particular insights. But take a look if you know, if your heart is calling you to that. Miha, thank you once again.
Thank you.
It's just been lovely, and thank you everyone for bringing your energy and intentions to heal to the group, and helping. You know, it's like as I was sitting and listening, I just felt so supported by this group that
Yes.
we are creating. Right, so I might be, you know, the organizer, but you know, if you guys don't show up, then this doesn't happen.
Yes.
So thank you once again, Miha, and thank you everyone. And
Thank you.
yep, I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Linda. Thanks.
Hi, Jackie. Feel better. Nice to see everyone. Michelle,
Thank you.
Leisha, Monique, Melinda. I'm like trying to see everyone here. Bye, everyone.